the Historic Districts Commission to order. And our first order of business is to welcome Senior Chief Petty Officer Keith Jermyn, who's going to talk with us about a proposal for the Pledge of Allegiance at town meetings.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's actually a Pledge of Allegiance, hopefully, for this board, not town meeting. We already...
Oh, no, I meant
Yeah,
all
okay.
different town meetings, yeah. Sorry.
I'll have a written statement that I'd like to give to your secretary, assistant, so she can, and if you'd indulge me, I'm just going to read it into the minutes, if that's okay, and then I'll take any questions you may have. So on January 28th of this year, I had the privilege of making a similar proposal to the Board of Selectmen, requesting an item be added to their meeting agendas moving forward. I'd like to make this same request for your consideration as well. In 2011, the Department of Veteran Services was asked to produce a level services budget for the following fiscal year, as many departments were here at Town Hall. With that theme in mind, an immediate memorandum of understanding, or an MOU, was drafted by my office to all other departments with flagpoles under their jurisdiction. The town currently has 37 municipal flagpoles spread over 14 different departments across the town. By utilizing a single vendor, both shipping prices for the product could be reduced by making one annual purchase in bulk. To achieve that benefit, the town consolidated flag purchase program was born. A consequence of developing this program was incorporation into the vendor's incentive program, which enabled accumulation of points to the town's account that could be redeemed the following year to acquire additional flags at no extra cost. So similar to your credit card, when you use your credit cards, you get the points, right? So over the last 9 years, our points have been used exclusively to purchase indoor ceremonial USA flag sets. These beautiful displays now adorn each and every meeting room in Town Hall, including the auditorium, acquired again at no cost to the town. So if you look to the back of the room there, those are the sets that I'm talking about. So those are now in every meeting room, the senior center, the school board, auditorium. It seems only fitting that each and every one of us here, whether appointed or elected, is here to conduct the business of the government. Now that every room is flagged, I propose that each board, committee, and commission pause briefly to the start of their meetings to recite the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. The pledge can be said in less than 12 seconds and allows us all to pause briefly, reminding us of why we are gathered. It also adds an appropriate solemnity to each body's proceedings, which should facilitate respectful and productive deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Explain what we're doing with cameras and how that's going to work when we say the pledge.
Right, so if this meeting, which is televised right now, I assume, if that would be the case, you'd simply add this to your agenda item in the beginning. The camera in the back could be focused in on the flag, as you would hear the recitation in the background if you were at home, for instance.
Okay.
So many may remember at the end of every night, when we only had channels 4, 5, and 7 on TV, they would show that flag, right? And you'd hear the national anthem, and then, boo, you'd go. So it would be similar to that.
I know, yeah.
That's going back a ways, but.
Yeah, but true. So, just me personally, I support this 100%. I don't see any downside at all. So, and I think it's our privilege to do that. Thank you.
Great.
I don't know how everybody else feels, but that's my.
Yeah, it's a simple request, as I mentioned, Madam Chairman, just if you would like to add it to your agenda, that'd be great. I know that I was at the Board of Selectmen meeting just the other night where they started it. Other towns do it, other boards. It's not that we're setting a precedent or anything different. So it just took that long. It would be improper to make that request before today because not all the rooms were obviously flagged. So.
Well, would other commission members like to make comments?
I support the idea, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Full agreement.
Great.
Okay.
Other questions? Great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you for your time.
Now we can go home and have dinner.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we need to take a vote. We can discuss if you'd like a little bit, or we can just agree to put it on our agenda. Anybody not want to do this?
I'm a little uncomfortable with it. Are we being put to some kind of a test of patriotism in this
No.
group?
No, and Keith is talking to all the boards and committees, so no, that has nothing to do with it at all.
Will
And,
it be,
and so, I mean, the point was, I'm sorry. What Keith was saying is that the focus is going to be on the flag. So if you choose not to participate, you don't have to participate. It's up to everybody individually. So,
And that would be for the audience as well.
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So,
so let me see if I understand that this is not going to be implemented or adopted by town meeting for all the boards to do.
no,
It's an individual board member perspective on what is to be done, not even a commission perspective on what is to be done. Is that correct, Andrea?
yeah, pretty much. I mean, if anybody's not comfortable doing this, then that's just fine, sit.
So has the
Or
board-
take a knee, as it were.
the Board of Selectmen adopted this?
Yes, they do it now.
And-
They started for the first time last Tuesday night at
And
their meeting.
how about some other commissions or boards?
He is just now making the rounds.
Okay.
So the Historical Commission was in full agreement. So we will add that to their agenda.
So those wanting to participate, we'd stand, face the flag.
And say our Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
I'm most comfortable with the individuality of it, in the sense of people who want to say the Pledge of Allegiance, do it, but I'm most comfortable with that, frankly. But I would be supportive of the commission as a whole doing it as well. How's that for ambiguity?
Sitting firmly on that
Won't
fence.
say anything.
What's that, Cal?
You're sitting firmly on the fence.
You're right.
Anybody else have anything to say?
I gotta say, it does feel a little like a test-like. I wonder whether.
A test? For what?
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, I recall giving the Pledge of Allegiance in school and have very fond memories of that. And I love our country, I really do. And I don't know, I guess I still hold some ambivalence at the moment about it being an element of our meeting.
Anybody else?
So it's not something we have to adopt by vote.
No.
It can happen by occurrence and people who choose to participate.
All I would like is at least an agreement to put it on the agenda so that it can be done if whoever wants to do it can do it.
I guess that's the uncomfortable part, because those who don't choose to do it,
Yeah.
it feels awkward for them. That is the duality of it. It's, whoever wants to do it can do it. I'm comfortable doing it, but maybe someone else isn't. And so I think it feels that you're self-selecting, and that's, no one wants to do that, right? No one wants to.
So,
but I'm not sure you can say no.
We can say no.
Just
Well,
saying.
isn't that the very issue?
That's the very issue,
Isn't,
right?
It is, I think it is. That, saying no perhaps does not have a meaning that, it perhaps does not have a meaning in anything that responds to patriotic expression, but has.
Or an allegiance you may truly feel.
Of course, right, yes. But it's I've never experienced a practice like this before in different meetings, so that it's, it's distinctive.
If you, I have scanned for meetings, looking for our own or the selectmen's meeting or somebody else's meeting, and occasionally you run across, somebody else's board somewhere else in another town. And I have seen many do that. It's just regular practice. Like you said, it takes 12 seconds. So it's not unheard of.
Is there any value in covering this in the next meeting so that people have an opportunity to think some more about this?
Sure.
Before we make any decision?
That's a good idea,
Yeah, that makes sense.
but it's steep.
Yeah. It is a rather deep issue, I think. In many ways, it's very apparent, but in another way, I think it really is
Personal.
subject to reflection and meaning. So I think thought.
Yeah.
So we'll put it on the agenda to consider next time.
Sure.
Is that fair enough? Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Well, like to welcome Patrick and Kathryn Kirk from 255 Main Street and Heidi Condon to present your application for what you would like to do to your barn.
Thank you very much. Good evening, I'm Heidi Condon, and this is Patrick and Katie Kirk. Patrick actually grew up here in Hingham. His parents are still here, and he has two brothers in town. So they are diehard Hingham residents. They recently purchased 255 Main Street. It's a beautiful building. The home was built in the 1990s, we believe, 1890s. But the barn, which is what we're here today, we really feel is mid-1700s, maybe late 1700s. I'm really excited to present this to you in a site visit. I feel this is the most authentic barn I have ever seen, that it really has not changed. And the Kirks really want to preserve that, especially on the interior. I brought additional photos to show you the interior. This shows to the right, in your package, you'll see the front, and you really see the barn just from the driveway there. I wanted to show you what the side looks like. Patrick has found one image where there was an original colonial to the right of the barn from the 1700s, and you can see the barn peeking out from it. I'd like to do a little more research with the Historic Society, but we just haven't found a lot about it, but I really feel this is a 1700s structure. Except this rear portion here. This I do not believe is original, and we did have a structural engineer come in the fall, and I emailed the report to Andrea, and I can pass it along. That was in extreme disrepair. We were afraid to even walk into it on the second level, and they're just these old cedar posts that were holding it up. So we did petition the town to demolish that portion. You really can't see it from the street. I have pictures from Garrison Road. Andrea said a neighbor farther down Garrison can see it from his property, but I'll pass along additional images. So that has come down. It was dangerous, and the reports kind of depict that. So here are just pictures from Garrison, and it is hard to make out. But I do have reports from Rivermore just talking about that portion and then the barn. The barn also, the entire sill was rotten, and a lot of the stone has been kicked back. So we have been working with Gordon, who's been stabilizing the building, just because we were worried we were gonna lose it. These are reports, but, so all we're doing right now is stabilizing the building, for fear that we would have further damage over the winter. But I'll just walk you through the images from your packet. So that's the front, and we are proposing all wood windows. We're looking at Marvin or Colby, which we've discussed with the board in the past. This shows the detail of the front. All I want to add are 2 awning windows in the in this corner and this corner, really for ventilation, and you'll see that on your front elevation. We are looking at doing natural cedar on the sides. We'll stick with clapboard on the front. We have chosen historic paint colors, and I'd like to discuss that when we're at the site and we can really look at them. Whoop, that's sideways. But we are going to do the same lights that are on the house. We figured why replace all of them, but we like the onion lights. This shows the front of the barn. We're keeping the hay door. We're keeping the front main door and that door and window on each side, and just adding at the top. What I'd really like to share with you is the interior. It's just a wonderful post and beam structure. We're going to keep the wood corner boards, and as you can see, the front will stay clapboard, the sides will all be natural cedar. We are keeping an asphalt roof. We originally did want to do the cedar. When we priced it, it was just astronomical. So I did change that on the drawings, and Andrea has it in an emailed document.
Heidi, real quick on that last image. Above the car, that little piece to the far right, is
This
that getting
portion?
removed? Yeah.
That we're removing. I do not believe it is original. It's also virtually on the
I just
property
couldn't
line.
tell if it was set back like the drawing shows, or.
Yeah, no, if you look on your first page, that's this gray portion. It's 1 story, and I think that was an added access to the lower level. That was in the worst disrepair, so we would like to remove that.
What is the age of the barn itself, you said?
We think it's mid-1700s to late
So
1700s.
the back piece is newer.
Yes, definitely, yeah. And yet that was in the worst condition.
Notice the wooden pegs in the interior.
Yeah, I think you'll all really enjoy seeing this structure personally, because I just love going.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. I have some photographs that the contractor sent to me, and I think it makes it pretty evident. So go ahead, pass them around, take a look,
It was-
please.
I mean, we were afraid to go on the second floor, even go under. And when Gordon came to look at it, he also said it really wasn't salvageable and it wasn't original.
And so therefore, the demolition request came through, I did sign off on it, because it was apparently pretty
And
dangerous.
we were really worried we were gonna lose portions of the barn this winter. And you can see from Garrison, you can barely see that. You can see the green tarp more than you could have even seen the actual structure. And in the summer, I don't think you'll see it at all. We are proposing a deck on the south side. It will not be visible from the street, but we are gonna do mahogany, and we will do a wooden rail.
South side, is that, I'm sorry, is that the rear? Or is-
So, it's right here.
Oh,
It's directly behind the main house.
Okay.
We are doing clapboard, just traditional clapboard here. So this is the original home that was built in 1891.
Clean hand.
Yes. Really fabulous details on the house. But definitely the barn is from a different era. And again, we'll talk about the colors when we're at the house. The house currently has some detailed windows like this detail. It has 1/1. Those I think were new, that are more 9. But you can see on the drawings that I provided, we thought we'd just do kind of traditional awnings in the front that are 6 lights. A traditional door to the front. We're gonna do a brick chimney to match the main house. You can see there had been coal stoves at one point added, and there's brick inside. 6/6 are the wood windows that are in the current barn. Again, we're just gonna do the asphalt. So here you can clearly see the portion that we are asking to remove. It really has no foundation. It's literally sitting on dirt. It was added as a very narrow, it's a staircase to get down to the basement. Not safe, you can see when we
So
visit.
just that portion is sitting on dirt.
It's dirt. There's nothing under it. And when they put that in, they compromised the foundation of the barn because they took out the stone. So that's why we're trying to stabilize it now. And it is jacked up currently. We're trying to level it. So here you see the side elevation here. This is the portion that's now gone. This is all staying. But you really can only see that from the Kirk's own property. You cannot see it. You can barely see the top gable from Garrison.
Peggy, on that last photograph, what are those? Are there 2 little windows, little ports on the right-hand side of the main body of in the right photo?
These guys?
2 up in the second level, to the on the back of it.
Oh, these guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're old like barn sash windows.
They're windows.
They're windows, aren't they? They're windows.
And there's only 2 of them, or they go across the back?
No, it's only the 2, I think it's only those 2.
I don't think they're on the other side.
Part of the problem is, see how they are right now? They've been like that for a long time.
There's no glass.
So water damage got down that back wall, which is part of the reason for the need to jack it up. And there's no glass, sorry.
So here was one image where you can see the gable. So here's the barn from Garrison. And you really can't see the part that we've removed, but we are replacing to the same proportions and size. So that was it on my presentation. If you'd like to look at the drawings, I can walk you through the drawing package that you have. You can see this shows the existing site plan. So it's this long rectangle that we're proposing to remove. This we're just replacing with the same footprint. These are existing, so this shows the barn, so maybe it would be helpful if I showed the barn. On the front, there's the front. We did provide an interior section, and this is what I'd really like all of you to see when we're there. It's a phenomenal system, post and beam and trusses, and in the photos I sent, there's an iron wheel that they used to hoist things up, and we're gonna keep that in the building. So this just shows kind of the framing, all of it's exposed. It's a phenomenal space. And this is our proposed, so we're going back to the original barn, eliminating that, matching this, and this is where we'd like the deck. You cannot see this deck from the street. But it still will be wood mahogany stained and a wood rail. reason why we're doing it, that you can see the house is so narrow and it slopes down. This porch is really on a second level. You can walk under it. So there is no outdoor living space for the children to play or to entertain, and that's why we've kind of made this the recreation space. So here's the front of the building. So the door remains, the main door, the man door. Right now, this is a 1/1 light. There's no way in the 1700s it was 1 light over 1 light. So I propose to have it be a simulated divided light, but wood interior 6/6, and that's what we have in other portions. So it's this window that I'd like to replace for a true wood window. So what we're thinking of the side elevation, which really is not visible, but we would like to do a glass wall where we are exposing the interior framing. We're going to leave the post and beam so you can actually see through it. So what our thought process is that we're celebrating this post and beam structure, sharing it, and just peeling back that facade so that it's exposed. So that is what our thought is. And then we're keeping this simple. This is going to be a home office for Patrick. And we're keeping the posts that could have been down here. Very simple wood with the bracing. And here we're kind of mimicking, Catherine, the lights that you saw in just simple square awnings. So this kind of documents that really interesting broken truss system, which I'd love for you all to see. So our goal is that you can see this through that south-facing glass. This is the side elevation that faces the neighbor. And again, we're just doing really simple, again, using more barn vernacular, simulated divided light, and a brick chimney. It'll be really interesting when you see it. It's the second floor. We're gonna leave the space that they use to haul the hay up open and completely expose that. So this is just more of a loft on the top level. The main level, we're just leaving it open really as it is. There currently is a bathroom back here, so we're keeping that. We're keeping the posts that are there and all the beams exposed. This shows we're just having a slider, which again is not visible out to this deck. And we are putting a standard staircase that's to code in the far corner so that it's usable, but it's not going to be visible from any place on the exterior.
Garage barn door will that be workable?
Yeah, it works now. It's relatively new, and it's just solid black. So, everything we're going to propose, everything has to be replaced on the exterior. It's all gonna be wood. The windows, again, will be the Marvin wood units. And we're just asking for it is a more contemporary proposal for that side elevation. I don't think it's visible, but we really want to expose that framing. And I think when you all see it, it's just a beautiful representation of 1700s construction, and that's what's still standing. I mean, we're having issues with water, but the actual frame is in really good shape. And the goal here has been to preserve this building. That is not in good shape. But the interior framing is just beautiful.
That's literally stood the test of time.
Literally. And it just has not been touched. I really feel for hundreds of years.
Can you clarify the siding on this front elevation that you'd see from the driveway?
It will all be clapboard. We're maintaining the clapboard.
I think the
Natural
drawing shows
cedar.
cedar
It's-
shading, that's why I asked.
It should be cedar clapboard on the front. But we're matching it. We're doing natural shingle on the side.
At least what's in the packet.
Let me just.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be clapboard. We had,
Yeah.
I think we
What-
kind of reversed one of these drawings.
What's the idea of changing it when you go to the sides on that
It's
original
what's there
structure?
now. Let me just show you So you can see in this picture, what's interesting, actually, this is clapboard, that's shingle painted, that's natural. So we're just literally matching what's there. So these are natural shingles on the sides. It's really hard to photograph the side, this side, because it's right on the property line, there's a fence, but it's all shingle. So you can see back here is shingle.
I think it shows in the photographs that I passed around, if you look at the side view.
And that's a very traditional detail, where the front, it's more expensive to have the clapboard in the 1700s, and then they just leave the natural shingle on the sides.
So the flow to the side deck, does that meet up with the existing driveway elevation? Or is that you have to go into the barn to get out to the deck?
No, you can walk, let me see where that If you can see here, there's this significant retaining wall.
Yeah.
So you can walk from the driveway to here, so you will be able to walk to the deck. So it's just above grade. You'll find that drawing. So if you look here, we have a proposed terrace, and then you just walk onto the deck at the retaining wall. And we're keeping, this is a fabulous sliding barn door. It doesn't slide right now, but it will, and we're keeping it. It'll be access to the lower level, which will be storage.
Are you proposing any changes to the angled downspout? Please.
Yes, I am going to eliminate that.
Thank you. Most attractive.
And that's aluminum, but that will disappear.
Well, thank you, Heidi, and it's welcoming to hear your sympathy for the historic character of the barn and the age of the barn. Even though, that being said, I think what you're proposing is a conversion to new use of the existing barn, which is, it's understandable you'd want to have productive use, and a stable in its present setting is not productive or possible use. So that's pretty understandable, but I think what we need to consider, or what I would encourage considering, is whatever is done would be keeping very faithful to the historic character of the barn. And I think some of the challenge is going to be what you can see from where, because some of the most contemporary appointments that you're proposing may not be able to be seen. It'd be a different issue if they could really be seen, I think.
That was our thought as well. The Kirks really want to preserve the front and what's visible, and I think that's why our site visit will be so important. And we are very flexible to the board's concerns and thoughts about that. And as you said, we want to maintain it as a barn.
Yeah, no, I think that's crucial. You know, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'll just go ahead anyway and say that, you know, there's a man in town, Huck Handy, who's an expert in barns. He restores them, he builds them. He's Mr. Barn, you know.
Is he someone that we can invite to our site visit?
Well, I'm sure they're public, yeah, yeah.
I must say, I've almost lived 40 years just down the hill from you, and I've just never noticed the barn. I mean, it isn't that easily seen from the street, is it?
It's not.
Yeah.
It's really not.
But I really commend you for wanting to do this. I think it's great.
Well, we're excited, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's just a phenomenal structure.
I would agree, I didn't even realize this structure was here. That being said, after looking at the drawings and sort of the modern interpretation on the side, I think a site visit's gonna be good.
I think so.
Because I think it's a modern take. I appreciate the adaptive reuse here, because not too many people would find a need to maintain this as a barn. So I can appreciate that. My concern is that left-hand facade and what could be seen and the interpretation there. But, I appreciate the desire to kind of bring this structure back to life.
It must not have taken much to take down that back part. Just
No.
leaned on it and it fell over.
It was a little scary how fast it came down. And we have some other options that we've looked at for that left side, and we're happy to share them with the board. Really, what we were all thinking was, it is such a phenomenal frame, it would be fabulous to
Expose it
Expose it.
that way, yeah.
and in as simply as we can. And yes, it's an interpretation that is more contemporary, but when you see the structure and the way it's put together, you just kind of want to show it off, if that makes sense. And so our feeling was it's a very subtle way, but I think it'll be really a great discussion when we're at the site and see what everyone thinks.
Yeah, and I think it'll be helpful to see exactly where that left elevation faces and what
Yeah.
presents to it. So I think,
And-
yeah, a
and-
site visit would
Yeah.
be very helpful.
And the photos I passed around today, I actually took today. So this is the most exposed season that you could see part of that building.
You
It's
shared.
very hard to
shared-
see from Garrison Road.
It is. Yeah, I
You
had to
share these
zoom in.
plans with the neighbors?
Oh, yes. So I have emailed 3 letters of support. One is from 17 Garrison Road, the DeStevens. One is from 253 Main Street, the Blackmers, and one is from 259 Main Street. I can pass them around or read one. They're all very positive.
How does the number work? The one to the left of the house, who's gonna actually be looking at the barn, are they in support?
Yes.
That one says, we live at 253 Main Street and are direct butters or neighbors to the Kirks who live at 255. Katie and Pat have shown us their plans to renovate their historic barn to better accommodate their family, and I fully approve of the improvements seen from the street and my own property. The renovation saves a wonderful old barn, improves the neighborhood by renovating the structure and putting it to good use, and the views from the street are still in keeping with the historic neighborhood. Side elevation is really not visible, but we really like the idea of exposing the framing within through the new windows. We also approve of the removal of the bump out that faces our property. So they're the ones who see, that one story that's right in this area. The bump out was obviously added at another time than that of the original structure. The bump out is in very poor condition and adds little value to the Kirk's plans to the original barn structure. We hope the Hingham boards will see fit to approve these renovations as a nice improvement to our iconic neighborhood. And the other two are very similar, so I can just pass those.
That was the Blackmers to the right.
Yes. Yes.
To the left is what you were asking. The Fabianos, have you heard any? Okay.
So, we've got a 1750s barn that we did a lot of work on about 7 or 8 years ago. Actually went through the commission, and it was in just the kind of shape that yours is in right now. So it will come out great when you're the finished product. The thing you might want to think about is with that side, with the glass, is you want to have something that's in keeping with the rest of the house, and that'll be a differentiating point. So, when you think about the old barn, you might want to, even if we can't see it, you want to have something that goes with and is keeping with the main house, because that's going to be something very, very different than what you already have with the 1890s and the 1750s structure. So just, kind of keep that in mind when you're going through it. So our barn was an adaptive reuse too. We converted it into a garage and a workshop. So it's not on the scale that you have here, but we were able to keep a lot of the old wood on the interior, not just the framing, the post and beam framing, but if you're able to keep as much of the old wood as possible, so you can kind of you look up in there and you can see that the age of the wood, which will be very dramatic, even without the windows. I mean, you just kind of come in there and you will see. You look up, you have the right lighting, and you will be blown away. So you don't really, the outside-in view is kind of, you know, it's a little bit like a ski lodge, kind of, you know what I mean? Kind of with, so, but when you come in, if you keep it traditional, you can just, it really is dramatic when the project is completed. So you might not have to look in to see all this. I know what you're trying to attempt from the deck, but we can see when we get out there.
I think when we visited,
Yeah.
you'll see,
Yeah.
because of the scale of the building, it's extremely dark inside.
Mhm.
So I'd love to talk about the fenestrations on that side and just to get some natural light into the space.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a great project for you. Thank you for doing it. All these barns just come down, you know, they're not preserved, and they get to a point where they're just so neglected that, you know, it's just, it's such an undertaking to get them back that, so I'm glad you're doing it, thank you.
Well, we weren't planning to do this right away. We just moved in August.
Yeah.
But, when we got in there and we sort of saw the state, we realized that we had to move a little bit fast. If we wanted to really save it, so.
Right.
Thank you, Hans. There's plenty more to say, but I wonder if we should say some now, or if we should have the site visit and then have a further discussion.
Suspect further discussion would be better informed if we had the site visit.
I agree with Justin.
Okay.
I have one simple question. What style handrail are you proposing around the sleeping wall on the second floor?
We actually haven't gotten
I have a question about the general construction. You're saying that you're going to expose the framing. Does this mean you're doing a rigid insulation on the exterior?
We haven't even gotten that far. We wanted to see if the board was going to approve it. But because we're removing the clapboards and the shingles, we can do rigid insulation and then, so is that what you're saying between the?
Right, well, you would need roughly 4 inches of rigid insulation on the exterior on the walls and 8 inches on the roof to meet the code requirements. So you would be changing
We're
some dimensions.
going to leave the structure that's there and then sister new structure that you don't see. So we have been discussing this with our builder, and maybe Jake can come when we have our site visit, now that he's spent more time exploring the structure. But some of it, we may have to leave in place and build around. Does that make sense?
So you may be doing insulation on the interior, and therefore you would...
Yes, and then taking some of that beadboard off, we'd probably do either rigid or the foam insulation and then put it back.
I see, okay. And so you must be going for zoning relief?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And that's one other reason why we want to take off that one story, because that's the most non-conforming to the zoning regulations.
On the right-hand side? I see, okay.
Yeah, and so we're really not changing any of the other structures.
Okay.
I think Jake can answer those questions now that he's spent more time. We're trying to preserve what's there, but as you said, we need to insulate it and we need to stabilize it. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, there's a huge sag. You can see right here,
Yeah.
there's a sag, and in here, and you can really see it inside. So we're debating still, do we repair that or stabilize it? And we might end up just stabilizing it and leaving it there. But I think Jake can answer that question better.
Okay.
As far as a site visit goes, this is coming up on school vacation. So I think we're looking probably at March, wait a minute, hold on. Saturday, the 29th of February, or the 7th of March. Any preference?
The 7th would work better for me, but that's,
29th is better for me.
there we go.
7th is better for me.
Either one.
can't hear.
I don't have a
The
preference.
se- the 7th of March,
Or the 29th of February.
Oh, I'm out of town on the 7th of March.
okay?
Is it leap year this
It
Yeah,
is.
Every election year is a leap year.
The 29th is Leap Day.
year? Leap day. Should all jump up and down when we get.
What about for the Kirks and you, Heidi? What date might be preferable?
I'm available both days.
Probably flexible.
And Jake?
This year, I'll check with Jay. He has young children that I don't think are affected by school vacation, but I can check with him and get back to Andrea.
So, what's your,
I can't make the 7th.
you can or cannot?
Cannot.
Okay.
Well, who can make the 7th?
Who can make the 7th?
Yeah. And who can make the 29th? I should have counted.
Want to start over?
What's that?
Want to start over?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
A show of hands, one hand per person?
Please,
Who can make the 7th?
who can make the 7th?
one hand, 1, 2,
3,
3, 4,
5,
6, 7.
Okay, and the 29th?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well,
Applicant's choice?
The applicant's choice.
I think I can make the 7th too, I just.
oh, well, then that just throws it right over.
Okay, so
Sorry.
March 7th.
Sorry, 29th or.
Okay,
It's the 29th?
7th.
The 7th, okay.
Seventh, oh.
Okay, the 7th it is. 9 a.m., sounds good.
I have another question, Heidi. You mentioned options. You know we love options.
I know.
Okay.
I will bring them.
Okay, thank you.
They are more
Thank you.
traditional options.
And thank you for a complete package once again. Very helpful.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No? No, I'm all set. I'm keeping your,
Yes, this is one more where you can't even see the bar.
Bye, good night. Okay, our next application is 38 North Street, Bill Benoit.
Bill Benoit, this is my wife, Perry.
Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here. We don't have any PowerPoints, I'm sorry. So Al Kearney is our architect, and he had a conflict, and so he wasn't able to make it, so.
We're historic, we can envision.
Great, thank you. I think Andrea probably has some handouts. Oh, you have some handouts, yeah.
Beg pardon?
I'm guessing you have
You
some
have your
handouts, because I know that
information. Yeah,
there
we
were
do.
10, yes,
Yeah.
okay, great, yes, great.
So if you just want to describe the project as you plan to
Sure.
do it, it would be helpful to us.
Sure, absolutely. So what we're asking to do is just, there's a, on the Station Street side of the property is a porch. And we acquired the property 5 years ago. We tried to just clean it up. It really had been neglected and so forth. As I said to Andrea, we had replaced some windows in the back. It looked like they'd been painted with mittens. So the front, we have the front pretty good right now. The back, particularly with the things happening with the old settled glass property and so forth, this sort of more, attention and, I guess, yeah, that's right, visibility, positive things happening there. So we've wanted to clean the back up, because it's complete, even if it wasn't historic, it's really out of character. I don't know if you've seen the property. It's texture 111, it wasn't really being put on properly, that's bowed, there's a corner that's bowed, it really, it looks terrible, frankly. It's gonna cost, and what we wanted to do is sort of work from the structure out to the street. So fix the facade and get that all cleaned up. And then, there's a fence on each side. I've been trying to kind of hold those intact, but to, put a little more time and effort into those to try to, they're wood fences, maintain those. And then there's 4 parking spaces, and the asphalt's been neglected, there's holes and so forth. But I'm trying to work from the building sort of out to the street and just really kind of just clean it up, frankly, and make it a little more in character with the rest of the building. So we're asking to close the porch in, which will add about 100, and I think it's probably 156 or thereabouts, square feet, just as a little way to help us, hopefully, rent that to one of the 2 existing tenants, commercial tenants in the first floor, because it's, with my math, it's probably gonna cost us, I don't know, $30,000 thereabouts to do what we like to do to clean it up back there. And I think that's it.
First question?
Of course.
Today, looking at the building.
Yes.
So the fenestration, that lovely word, the arrangement of the windows on the back's been
Yes.
changed sometime in the last few years. It was just like the front, 4, 4, 4, and 4, and now it's 1 and 2 over on this side.
Yes,
Is that you all or the people before you?
So we've owned it for 5 years. So what we did do is, looking at on the back, on the left side, there was, I'm pretty certain it was a double window, that was there. So we replaced that. We went to Andrea and went through that whole process and so forth. Replaced the window and cleaned up the trim around it. Now what we also did do, there was a single door into a common hallway back there. So we did put in two doors so that because there's an apartment upstairs, so they had a private entrance. So that was
So now there's a total of 3 doors in the back.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, yeah. So it's,
So the footprint will be the same.
the footprint's identical, yes.
I've
Yeah.
seen an old picture when the parking area was water, that's where the original ships came into Hingham.
I
And,
didn't realize it was water up to the parking lot. Yeah, I know.
yeah, that was all before the bridge went in,
Yeah.
which is
Oh,
free.
wow.
And,
Major
there-
mechanism of commerce.
Wow.
yeah, and there's something that looks about like this on the back of this building. You can always tell because the one next to you is that brick look, stone look.
Yeah.
Right, that's
And
Ben's
there's-
building, yes, right.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
right before they must have changed into the parking lot.
Oh,
I don't know
interesting.
what year that would have been, but.
I truthfully, I'm not sure. I sort of knew when we were putting a mortgage on it, what the age was, but it's still like the foundations, the big stone
Yeah.
block foundation underneath and so
Yeah,
forth, yeah.
it's clearly old underneath.
Yeah, it's,
So, question on materials.
Yes.
I assume it's wood siding. Is it clapboard or shingles or?
existing?
No, the new proposal.
Yeah, so we'll really do it, whatever you feel is necessary. So right now, what's on the building, on the sides and the back is vinyl siding. Certainly would have been my first choice, but it's there, it's existing. So that is us on the back as well. So we're definitely gonna do clapboard style, we take that texture, 111 off and do that. Frankly, Al and I haven't, nailed down exactly what the materials would be, again, other than we know it would be claps. Ideally, we could do something with what happens when we move to do the snow removal. They have to push the snow, towards the building, so it's resting up against the building. So ideally, it's something that's gonna kind of withstand that, if you will, as far as, just painting. My father's a painter in town. We painted, I scraped mostly, but, a lot of the historic buildings in Hingham, so I know if you get snow sitting up against it, it can become an issue, but I can do whatever you need me to on that.
And you now have an air conditioning unit that will stay there, it's over on this left side?
Right, yeah, I'm not gonna touch not planning to touch any of that, yes, yeah.
Other questions, Mike?
It looks like there's a couple of light fixtures there. Are you replacing them or are they staying?
They would stay, so those are there just for the, for the 4 parking spots, just for, sort of safety purposes. There's some issues back there with some homeless folks that, that do need to keep lighting back there. There's a couple of women that live upstairs, and it's, the Hingham police are aware of that situation, and they're on it, but it does need to be lighting back there for them.
Would you be open to maybe a different style fixture?
Sure, oh, yeah, absolutely. My brother-in-law's an electrician, so that's not an issue at all, yeah.
And what are the windows that you're proposing?
The identical windows that we used to replace the windows when we bought it on the left-hand side. So they're sort of, I guess, colonial windows. I know, like the windows right, the pre-existing windows, and those windows as well, had the dividers in them. Andrea had us not to put those in because they shouldn't have been there to stay with, I guess, the time period, if you will. So just one clear pane of glass rather on the windows, yeah.
What you're proposing looks so much more streamlined and gracious. What we would need, I think, is a more detailed schedule of what the materials would be and
Sure.
and what you're using and so
Okay,
forth.
yep, yeah, and again, yes, and we'd use the same things we used, for the other work. Al had put that together. Again, I apologize, he had a conflict, so he couldn't be here, because I'm sure he could help him with that. I thought I was gonna be sitting back there, but.
And forgive me if I'm asking you to
Sure.
repeat yourself, but the clapboards on the back right now are vinyl?
They are vinyl, yeah,
And
all the way up, yeah.
All the way,
And the
so-
sides, too. I don't know how someone got that to happen, but, yeah, it's.
But I would ask my fellow commissioners, whether, do we have a sense of, we would want to ask that anything such as the proposal match the material? Would we approve a vinyl clapboard for the idea of matching, or is this an opportunity to put a more historic material in?
Your proposal is just to replace the siding on the little bump out area, not
Correct,
the
just- right.
main body of the
That's
structure.
exactly. So what I need to do is there's a column on the left side of the porch, look at the drawing.
Yep.
That's been compromised, and so that, we're gonna fix that, repair that, put a new roof on it, because it didn't make sense to put the roof on until that was fixed. And so fix that, put the roof on, just closing that right side, and yes, just the three sides, that have this texture 111, is make that stuff go away and do the clapboards, yeah.
Do you have a current view of the front of the building?
The front of the building.
Is this first photograph on the packet? That's old, isn't it? That's not a recent photo. I don't think that there's a current front picture.
That's definitely
He wants just the back.
No, that's not
Just-
at all. Yes, but that is on file with Andrea from 5 years ago.
So I guess I'm asking.
Yes.
I'm thinking of these windows. If the front of the house currently has the
Dividers?
6/6.
Right.
I feel like, and you said you recently replaced the rear windows?
It was 5 years ago. We bought it 215, so we went up and put everything, it was like August of 15. Oh, great, why don't you, August of 15, and then it was done in the spring of 16.
That was maybe last month.
Okay, so they're all,
Yeah,
there's
so-
no buttons in the new windows. Anyone want to say?
Yeah, I think what happened was, for those windows, they were the snap-in ones. So
Yeah.
after that, we just took them out.
Right.
Just because
They get junky.
someday we would like to replace those windows, but, one thing at a time, I guess.
So
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just thinking.
Yep.
If you're thinking about eventually replacing the front windows.
Yes.
That we would, as I would guess, want to see them kind of back to their original 6/6, ideally.
Well, it sounds like that wasn't, at least at the time, the 6/6, they shouldn't have been 6/6 to
shouldn't have
begin
been.
with. Right, that's what I think Andrew had come up with, looking at that, at the time period, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you looking to insulate the area, or?
Yes, off the insulators, yes, absolutely, yeah. It was.
There's got to be an all-year?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, exactly, yeah, because right, it was sort of done on the cheap, I guess there's no other way to explain it as far as it was done. So it's got the steel slotted aluminum, I should say, on the roof. So that's gonna have to come out. We'll insulate that, and then insulate the underside as well, too. Yeah.
So there's an open space underneath?
Correct. It's probably about 4 or so, feet above ground, yes. Yeah.
And so there isn't a foundation, in other words?
On that piece, there's not a foundation, no. No. So the porch itself does not have a foundation. Fortunately, I had to crawl into there when we bought it and clear it out, so, yeah.
So you have access, there's a door or something?
Yeah, right, so right now, and that's sort of part of it, because it's just the way it's done, there's a couple of doors that open, and they just, they've just bowed, and it really looks terrible.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll still maintain some access under there, just for sort of service purposes, if you will, but, do it where it's gonna, fit in much better than it does right now.
Who's your architect?
Al Kearney.
Was it,
Back to Justin's question about a recommendation about matching vinyl versus wood.
Versus remediating to a natural material.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
well, the texture 111 is a plywood, and it has a repeat pattern in it. This is, it's probably, looks like a 4-inch exposure, maybe, the repeat.
Uh-huh.
And it's wood, plywood.
That's not what you're proposing on
No, we're
You're
talking,
not proposing vinyl.
Pardon me?
Proposing vinyl?
No,
Yeah.
I guess what I'm
I think there
proposing.
isn't a proposal yet, exactly, on materials, is that correct?
Right, correct, exactly, right, yeah, so what we're proposing really is get rid of the texture 111, because that looks terrible, to put in claps running horizontally, have them be the same color, which is sort of like a colonial light gray, color, if you will. And as far as the material, if it needs to be wood, it'll be wood. If it could be one of those sort of, is it like a masonite clap that just will hold paint a little bit better, but looks just like wood? I mean, that would be preferable, only in that, again, because of when the snow gets built up there, it's gonna hold paint better. But again, open to that. That's not a showstopper either way, so.
Well, that typically would not be a material that we would approve.
Okay, that's fine, then we'll make it wood. Yeah, that's fine.
Do we have any photographs of back in the day when it was when the mill pond was there and what this back facade looked like?
We might, somewhere.
I'd love to see kind of what it was, and maybe board and battens could be a solution or something else.
Well, if we can get images, that might be informative, but if not, then I think we'll just have to move on.
What will
But-
you use the space for?
Yes, I'm just gonna sort of use it as potentially as like a conference room for one of the two other tenants
Well,
on
not
that.
storage or
on that
anything, it's
floor.
gonna be actually used and
Right,
heated
yeah,
and all that?
it's not gonna get filled with boxes and, no.
Yeah, so doesn't appear to be an entrance from the existing building into the porch anymore.
Yes, yeah, so,
You have to go out and then back in again?
yes, exactly.
Why not put a door in?
So, right now, I'm just thinking, if we leave it like that, it could be used by either the two first floor tenants, sort of as a conference room. It is, yeah, that's what we're thinking.
I must be not looking at it right. So
Yes.
the
No, you-
picture of it,
Yes.
it shows the staircase going up, and there's 2 doors there, but there's a
Right.
wall here.
Yes, you'll,
you'll have to go outside onto the
Jog
porch
in.
before you can use
This is a
this.
solid wall now.
These are entrances. These are just, you can't see them, they're back in there. Those are the 3 doors that bring you to the, so you'll actually go outside onto this covered porch area in order to get
Okay,
into
So what you're
this.
saying is this isn't showing up on
yeah,
here.
Right.
there's a little jog, if you will, in there where you go
Oh,
up
on the
into
floor
the
plan,
right.
you can see it a little clearer.
I'm sorry?
On the floor plan, you can see it a little clearer.
Yeah. Madam Chair,
Yes.
we've approved, this may address a couple of things for the applicant. We have approved Boral before for commercial. I think we did it on the bathing beach as well as And that's a more durable product.
Which might respond to your concerns in terms of snow and stuff like that.
I think they've gotten out of the clapboard business, though, so this would just be for trim, I think.
Okay.
And if the proposal gets fleshed out with wood, then that's a straightforward ask.
Of course, yeah. I'm making the assumption that this is going to be continued.
Yes.
There's just one thing then I would like to point out. There's a lot of clapboard here.
Yes.
I'm wondering if Al could do a study on maybe some panels or something that reduces the number of clapboards there. He'll know what that means, but that's a fairly large field of clapboard.
Okay.
That would help elongate these windows visually, because they're quite short.
Right, right. Yes, so, I wonder, would maybe widening some trim underneath it?
Yeah, I think Al has the eye for it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I apologize, I didn't realize we were getting into materials, because, I would entirely rely on Al, and I thought this was more just that fundamentally, is it okay to enclose it, to close the space, and then as far as how it's gonna be, encapsulated, if you will, that's gonna be Al with really specking that out, but I think that was what Al was thinking as far as the process. But
Sure.
I think so.
Shingles may look good here for a porch, just differentiate it from the main,
We
and you get the.
we could certainly, I know Al and I were thinking that the clapboards would just be more in line with, because it goes up, it's equivalent to 3 stories of all claps to have it blending, but again, that's, tell me what you want, how's that? Yeah.
But Hans, I think your suggestion of shingles might be a nice, for lack of a better word, differentiation between the vinyl clapboards that exist and a way to put a natural material into this new.
Yeah, it might look a little bit more like a porch.
Yeah, a little more character to it, yeah, right.
So, and
right,
then it's
yeah,
not,
yeah.
we know it's not original, right? It was built at some point, after, maybe when the parking lot was filled in or somewhere around there, and that will signal it's newer.
Sure.
And that you've done some more work on it.
Yeah, it's, like I said, we're completely flexible on that.
So you're.
I just know right now, it looks like hell, that's all. I just want to look better.
Or panels or something.
I guess, are we at a point where we're asking the applicant to come back, or is there enough here to make a motion on shingles and materials and let it go, or is there?
I'd like to see a drawing.
I agree. I think you would need to come back with a more definitive proposal.
And a light fixture proposal.
Do you want some measurements on the windows, guys?
Yeah, I mean, typically Al will call out dimensions for us so that we have a better idea of proportions. You're going to be conditioning the space, right? Heat and air conditioning?
Yes, yeah.
So we'll need to know where I'm assuming you're going to do a mini split, a ductless mini split. Where will that be mounted?
It will be, yes, that is the intent. That would be mounted on the right side. There's a stairway that goes up to the, to the top floor. So we go
Okay.
on that side. It's more visually just out of sight, if you will.
Okay, and that would, so it's a heat pump. It's going to take care of your air conditioning as well as your
Correct,
your heat.
exactly right.
And that would be wall mounted?
Yes,
So we're not on the ground?
correct.
Okay.
Right, correct, yeah.
So those kinds of things we need to see.
Yeah.
As well as the call out of materials and the proportions of windows.
Okay.
Anything else we need to ask?
What is on the second floor?
The second floor is it's a 2-bedroom apartment up there. There's a couple of women that live up there, yeah. Yep. That was very nicely done, actually.
Is this enough for you to go on, to go back to Al and ask?
I think so. I'm presuming we're probably gonna have to rely on Andrea a little bit, for our specifics, but I'm certain we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then perhaps at the March meeting, there's opportunity for that?
And I think one last parting comment, one of the things we have not said is, no, you shouldn't do this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's good.
Right.
I drove by this afternoon, and
Yes.
it looks a lot better than this photograph, the front of it.
The front of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
oh, yeah, no, that's, no, we've, you
Yeah,
know,
it's
we've
much
cleaned
better.
that up a lot. Yes, exactly. This, you know, right, it doesn't look, yeah. So, time for the back.
Okay, well, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very
The
much.
12th is our next meeting.
You know, and also the back,
Yeah.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'm going to recuse myself for this
Okay.
hearing because we're direct abutters.
okay.
Thank you.
Hello, Sally. Okay. Welcome, Sally. Welcome, Sean. Are the McKeones coming, or,
Unfortunately, they had to be out of town tonight, so we're representing Jim and Kathy McKeone.
Okay, great.
So they're sorry they couldn't be here, but something came up, so we said we'd come for them.
Close enough?
Okay, right? Ready? Okay, so we're here for 59 School Street, and for a pool house, or pool cabana. It's a kind of an open-air pavilion, really. I just wanted to bring pictures of the existing house. I think the McKeones have done a great job of their property, you know, doing the renovation in addition to the existing house. This is the old pictures. Restoring the barn. They even have a little building, which we don't have a picture of on the property, but a tree fell on it, and they actually rebuilt it perfectly in kind. So, but Sean came with me because I know he has been here before and got the pool and the fencing approved. So I think in your packet, there are photographs of the existing, again, and then there are also a little floor plan of the pool pavilion, if you will. It's 17 by 24 feet. It's really just a seasonal thing. It's really, this is 24, this is 17, it's 16 feet high. It's 230 feet from the road, is that right?
Yeah,
I have a little rendering here. And I think that was in your packet? Yep. That kind of shows, as you go down School Street, what the view would be. It's really way back from the property. But again, it's really just a little changing room, a little lavatory, and a little storage room, and it's really all open, just a little cathedral ceiling. So it's this little building right here. So really, you see the side view, but what we're proposing is some lattice on that side to give them a little privacy from 230 feet away. I don't think anybody can really see into it, but the view to the pool and sort of arbor and that Sean has proposed is back here. So that's sort of the view to there. Proposing planting along here too, maybe you can speak to that a little bit more, but, it's sort of just giving that, again, it's just such a small building that this is the view from the street. So it's really one little window, 2/1, like the rest of the house. We're proposing the same materials. It's clapboard, painted the same colors as the house. Shutters, and this is where we're proposing maybe some lattice here that we might grow some things up. This is open to the pool, so to that side. This is really the back of the little building, but, it kind of faces, actually, the campers. Oh, Thomas. And then we did do the back elevation, which is really not visible, but there's a little door to a storage room. So, and again, the details and things are all to match the existing house. The existing house has these little turned pigeon ledges, if you will, and we're just continuing it because we've got this beam that's happening here. So, again, all the details will pretty much match the house. We're just, again, rather than turning it back on itself, we're continuing the eave through. Corner boards, rake details to match the existing house. Do you want to speak to this site, or you're good?
You can pretty much see it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
16 feet. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Sean, you're not proposing any landscaping for this?
No changes to the plan that we already had. So
Okay,
we had already
so
had a
what you
plan that
put
was
in
already
is
approved.
existing?
That's-
I see, okay.
Anything along the street has been done, right around the house has been done. That was probably, was that 6 years ago? I think it might have been 7 years ago.
You always think it's shorter than you really is.
So that's already been done, getting in the way here. But, this hardscape had been done along with that first project. We talked about this last time and we had that approved. The fences, the pool itself, the pergola behind. There's planting associated with it, certainly. There's going to be shrub planting, tree planting along the edges. And that's something we've shown on here. We had on the original plan. These folks, this side, the Lashers, have just done a project, and there's been a lot of conversation between the two of them about sharing evergreen swinging between the two of them. And so that's the intention. They've already done their plan, the Lashers already. We're a little ways out from that.
But for us tonight, it's just the pool house?
Just the pool house. Yep.
You show the existing
Sure.
side yard? I think it might be old, because I don't see any of this. I don't see this stone
site plan?
patio, I don't see a fence for the pool.
Oh, the site plan's in it. It's just
Yeah,
very
yeah, but I'm
small.
saying the photograph, and even the hand sketch.
What was that again for them? That's not been done. It's not been, that was approved.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Understood, sorry. Because I think that changes, that should almost be in your hand sketch, if that's been approved.
What's that? The,
All that side yard work that's been approved, and that's gonna obscure the view of this pool house even more from the public.
Well, I mean, it's low enough to where you probably, it won't really obscure. It's a low, 2-foot height wall. So really, it'll be in the foreground, certainly, without a doubt, yeah. There's existing trees that are there that you can see. There's been some storm damage on those. I haven't been by lately to see if this latest storm has occurred, but there's 2 of those 3 are still intact. There's a third one that came down. The bulk of it came down. The one's closest to the pool house came down. I think it may have been in the fall, to be honest.
right.
The other 2 are still intact.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it's a pretty modest structure. It's set back. I think you'll have that additional layer of terrace towards the front. It's nicely detailed. I think it's a nice little structure. Yeah.
Very integral to the property.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Sure, yeah.
The pool house,
It's a pool house.
there's no shower.
You can't have a shower in a pool house.
This is new.
No, it's not new. It's, the zoning doesn't allow you to have a pool inside a pool house.
A shower.
A shower. Inside a pool house, you can only have a lavatory. So you can have a shower outside, but if it's an enclosed building, you can't have a shower. If you would like to change that, that would be great, but that's the way it is right now.
Where's the shower?
I think that's zoning, that goes to a different.
That's zoning, that's a whole different thing.
Talk about that
But
five
I'm
years.
sure you have a shower location at some point. We
Oh,
will-
for this?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
So they come out of the pool, they've got chlorine on them, they can't wash off before they go in and change?
I think, you know what, I think we have a shower head on the house,
Yeah, you can do an
on
outdoor
the
shower.
side. So you can have an outdoor.
can have an outdoor
Yeah,
shower.
you just can't have an.
It's not on here yet.
No. No, I mean, I think there's a shower head on the house, like over
Not
here
on the pool
somewhere.
house.
Oh, so
On
then
the
you're
house, yeah.
back to the house,
Yeah, I mean, we may put a shower head.
can change,
And most likely it would probably be back here,
yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
it'd be hidden.
on this wall somewhere.
Yeah.
So I don't think you'll see it, but, you know, they hope that a lot of the kids will use this, but they also, Sean has designed this whole terrace and fire pit and things, so they'll
Yeah.
be going back and forth, so.
A lot of times you find showers end up near garages,
Yeah.
backs of houses, because it's less about coming from the pool as it is coming back from the beach.
Can you just put a pipe coming up out of the ground with a thing going like they have at Peggy Beach? and sit
Yeah, or you hang it on the
There's
wall,
something
sure.
Relatively close to that.
It's just
Yeah,
standing
it's
there
also
with a little
hidden.
thing to
Yeah.
stand on.
Depends on how much privacy you want, you know. But this will get closed down every winter, you know, because it's very open.
It's
So
not- So
it'll
no
just,
heat, this is not heated.
no, the water will get drained every year.
Beautiful design
Yeah.
and beautiful landscaping.
In keeping with the other small outbuildings on the site. And I appreciate that it's, you know, quite in the distance, and it feels charming in keeping with the other structures.
Other comments, questions? Someone like to make a motion?
Sure.
Thanks, Mike.
I'd like to make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness to 59 School Street for the addition of a pool house based on drawings dated January 23rd, 2020. All exterior materials to be wood. Roof is to be asphalt. Windows are,
Simulated divided light, we can do that way back there, right?
do they need to be insulated?
You know, I don't know, we haven't, I think it will depend
They
on the
could be.
cost. They could be,
They're-
yes,
they're
thank you.
actu- They're actually cheaper,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, the wood windows nowadays
They
are
are.
getting very expensive because nobody's making them anymore, or rarely.
Wood-
Some are, but.
And wood, windows to be wood simulated divided light.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Who's voting?
I'm sorry.
Everyone just voted.
That's all right, I don't mind.
Does that
That's
kinda cover
good,
it
we
in
just
there?
changed those rules too tonight. So let's say,
It's not a caucus, right? We're not having a caucus. Or what?
No abs.
Hans, Mike,
Virginia
and Carol. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Or Robert.
Robert, did you? Did you make the second?
They were
Well, I did say
simultaneous
second, but
seconds.
simultaneous, somebody else
There's a
did.
photo finish on
It's a unanimous second.
It was Robert.
All right.
Second's got to be a voting member, correct?
Do they have to be a voting member as the seconds?
Andrea?
I'm sorry?
Whoever seconds, do they need to be a voting member?
Yeah, actually, they do.
Right? But a voting member doesn't have to do the motion.
A voting member?
Yeah, I think I'll second it, okay?
Okay, good. Yeah, voting member does have to.
They do, okay.
And if you're appointed as a voting member,
Sure
then you're
makes sense.
qualified.
Okay, we're ready to move on. Welcome back, Bill. Roger?
Madam Chair, I'm going to recuse myself.
Sure.
Doing it.
So we need somebody to take Mike's place. You did it.
I have
so
been
Ben.
assigned,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
I say bravo. I don't know how you did it, but you did it. You were actually listening to it.
Any meeting briefly?
Well, I'm hoping that this is, it's our third time. I'm hoping it's going to be Act 3, and like in a Shakespearean drama where there's action, and we can go forward. But that's a way to say, your forbearance, Bill, Adrienne, Roger, in going through this process has been respected and appreciated. So,
Well, I'll just begin by saying I swear we did not coordinate our outfits tonight. It's unintentional, but, so yeah.
North Street.
Yes.
I only have one jacket left.
So we're, as the chair said, thank you all for your time. We're back for the third time here, and so we watched the tape pretty closely from the last meeting, and we really did our best to incorporate all of the recommendations. I think, as we started out, we didn't want to go in the back because of the small area back there, but now we've done that, so we have gone back. Based on Hans's recommendation. There were spots back there, I think gonna work for the project. The porch looks a lot like, almost exactly like the original porch. I know that was a concern. So if you look at the way the porch is structured in the latest design, where the door is, where the walkway is, the windows, it's, we really tried hard to capture everything that the commission presented to us. So hopefully we're there. Hopefully the third time's a charm, and I'll turn it over to Roger to talk in more detail.
So I hope that having also the previous additions, et cetera, is helpful. So to see where we've come from. But this one being the newest version, directly below what's existing, sorry. So the things that we really worked on was, first of all, were comments about the fact that the 3 windows in the ground floor facing the street, different than what's there. So we took those windows out at this level and put them on the side, which is also a suggestion that was made by several members of the commission. We then took the section of roof that's over the porch, where we had the second floor projecting out over the porch, and pushed the whole thing back so that now this roof is pretty much like it was originally. We have a chimney back on the house where we didn't over here. We put a chimney back pretty much where it is, and it would be a faux, but it would be brick, 2-inch facade brick rather than a full brick face. And I think that again, the issue I think we addressed last time about the windows and doors. We now have, the stairs that come up directly to the front door area, and I think this actually works pretty nicely. You have the from the street, anybody comes up the walkway and or the driveway can use this, but we still have the entrance on the driveway side, which is obviously the safer thing for people to drive up onto the flat and then come in at this area. Bill said what we had done with the so here was the last version with the second floor projecting out over the open deck. And we have now taken it back. So we've taken this entire second floor and pushed it back on the site. The suggestion was made, and it actually worked out. It's about 48 square feet that we've taken in that backyard, which is about 7% of the grass area in the back. So we really didn't give up much back there. There was the mudroom and then the rampway for the dogs, and then the bulkhead. And all we've done is basically gone 6 foot further, which would be this area right here, back in here with the second floor. So we've actually added about 105 square feet to the house, but we really haven't adversely affected the use of that back area, because really this face is only a foot further back than that existing mudroom, and the idea is that now we can get a foundation. We don't expect that there's very much foundation underneath that mudroom, so we've got it clear enough so we can excavate and get that in. And I think the second floor plan works pretty much exactly the way it did with the original design. It's just taken from here and then pushed back here. So I think the suggestions that were made to me became a positive influence on the plan without giving up the second floor design. We had not a lot, but a conversation about the bedrooms and these front windows and how that, could you get that fourth bedroom up there? And we've been able to keep all that, but also, I think, maintain the layout that made sense. On the rear elevation, so this is where we were before, and we put a little canopy over of course it doesn't show from the street, but a little canopy over. This is the door will be used as the family drives in, back up towards the backup, because they have 2 cars on the flat. They use this, they're coming into the mud. This is the mud room and the powder room back here. And we had some discussion about that sort of bulkhead or open stairway. The stairway is actually in the addition, which makes it much more usable and accessible to that ground floor. And I think, again, this really hasn't changed very much from what was here, but I think just the canopy with brackets has given us the protection. You're coming in fumbling for your keys, or you're carrying your groceries, so you can come right back into the house. And then that chimney, of course, back showing from all 4 sides. And then the right side, again with the roof change here, this whole thing just slid back. This is the living room. These are the 2 windows we were discussed in the finished ground floor space instead of facing the street. There are actually windows, in that foundation existing. So we're not. These are larger, so we can bring more light in that space. But I think this has worked out fine, and there's a little bit of semblance of order in terms of the windows in those bedrooms. Over the windows that are in. This is the kitchen area, and this is the dining area, and then up in the attic space, and then this is that back 4th bedroom, which again is fairly close to what we had here. There was a comment made about these windows where they come close to the rake board coming down here. We tried to move those around a bit, but again, location of these windows making those fairly long and narrow bedrooms, feel much wider just because the windows are joined. We couldn't get it far enough to clear this bedroom over here or move it this way and still have what I think makes a nicer sort of connection with the windows first and second floor on this backside. And then from the street, coming up the walkway up into here, so you have the access to the porch. And then when you level off with their two cars would be either coming into the back entrance around the corner or visitors coming into the this little side entrance here. Again, I thought this worked out fairly well with the windows basically on the first floor, second floor, and attic, all sort of projected on top of each other, which has a bit of organization. And then tried to have spacing on the second floor windows on this side appropriate for what's going on. Stairway, corridor, closet area, and bathroom. So those are the changes. I think we talked a little bit before about our materials in terms of taking the vinyl off the existing house, and so the entire house will be redone with clapboard. Windows are going to all be changed using the Boston sash, and all of the rake boards, trim, etc., would be the Windsor pine primed and painted. And this would be real brick up on top, but it would be the facade brick. So I think that's, I think we covered all the items that we had mentioned before. And we're, any thoughts, questions?
Come up with a wonderful design. It's
I can
wonderful.
really it's wonderful. You're a magician.
It's just terrific. You took that long list.
Well, I mean, I've said this before to you all, but I think, this is the way this thing is supposed to work. Suggestions made, comments from, you see people, I don't know how many it is, 4 to 6 every month. So we tried to take your suggestions, thoughts, and comments into consideration. But I actually think the result is better than what we started with up in that upper right-hand corner.
I would agree, yeah.
I appreciate you keeping an outline of what was there. It really gives us a sense of what you've accomplished, and looks terrific.
Just out of curiosity, Roger, does anybody ever use vinyl siding anymore? Put it up?
We certainly don't. And I think there's so many, it used to be that was the only sort of choice there was if you wanted to go something other than wood, but now there's all kinds of materials in terms of composite material, whether it's shingle, whether it's clapboard, whether it's almost anything that you can get now that has much longer lasting.
Yeah.
I think the front facade in this last iteration is respectful to the original, and at the same time giving you what you needed in a way that is really very different than the some of the prior iterations. I have one other question, and this may be a issue of my memory, but in terms of windows, no windows can be repaired. Was there an issue with window repair versus replacement?
I think they're all vinyl, right? They're vinyl.
Yeah.
The vinyl?
Yeah, they're all
They are.
vinyl.
That was the reason for taking them out. So.
They're not that old, actually. We got a certificate for the windows a couple of years ago. And the commission's rationale was, you can't really see them from the street, and
Yeah.
the house is vinyl sided. So, but it was probably about 2007, 2008. So,
Roger, thank you for showing the progression.
Yeah.
And you said earlier about incorporating the suggestions. I think you incorporated all the suggestions. I don't think anything's been left out, and I definitely appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for your patience, collaboration. This is a very difficult site to expand, as we've all discussed. And when I take a look at your drawing, let's see, on A6, the proposed front elevation, I'm looking just at the existing front and then the proposed front, ignoring the other two iterations to the right. To me, that looks like a reworked dormer and a bump out to the left, and maybe a couple extra windows on the first floor, but otherwise, to me, that's looking very, very close to what's already there. So I say you've knocked it out of the park.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, I think the biggest change is that third window on the second floor, which makes that
Right.
master bedroom work instead of not work. But I think by setting it back and having a different roof, you still, you see the two A dormers that are there, but that even just at, I think it's, we said 8 inches back from the face gives it some
Right.
depth so that, you know, that the dormer will still show on that plane.
An issue of demolition came up last time, Hans, from your perspective, and have we, has that been?
Yeah, what I tried to do on the side elevation was to use the dotted lines here.
Yep.
Basically, so this on the first floor, this structure, the floor structure of the existing house, and then here is the floor structure, on the second floor is right in here. And so we've maintained floor, wall, and wall, but the roof has to come completely off the face in order to get the roof reconfiguration that we have. At the highest point, we're 31 feet from the front elevation, and on the sides back in here, we're 28 feet. So we're well below the 35, and we tried to keep, you know, that with this look, especially from the street, when you're looking at a flat elevation, it looks a lot more massive than it actually will when you're looking up from the street at this surface, which I think you can see from the section that we did. So you see it down here, and you're actually looking sort of up the slope of the roof itself.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Hans?
Just a couple things here. Bill and Roger, something you might want to consider, and it's kind of non-HDC stuff, but if you want to, I noticed on your basement, you're going to do a crawl space. If you want to just, I know you got a one-car garage, but if you want some more storage space and you're just kind of putting some forms in there, you might want a full basement down in there. And I don't know if the cost is going to be that much different. It might just be a little bit more, but you know, you're going to put the forms in there for the crawl space anyway. So go down another 4 feet, and you can pick up some more storage space.
Good point.
Okay, so you might want to think about that. Give you some more storage, and then on the front porch, you know, as you think about, you know, how you're going to set the furniture up on the first floor when you come in, you know. You're going to have two doors right there. So one of these doors, I'm assuming it's probably the one on the right, it's probably going to be closed all the time, you know, and you're going to have to, you're probably not going to be using it. So it's either going to be shut all the time, or you may want to have a window there, you know, because you're going to have sofas or chairs kind of around your TV or wherever you have the TV. So you just want to, you don't want to have people kind of coming and going out of there and hitting a chair or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's going to be, it's a small room, and you want to have the flow in there, but you want to accommodate the furniture, you know? So,
Yeah.
it's not, I mean, you got some nice symmetry the way it is now with the two doors, but you could have a window there too if you wanted to, or the door's gonna be locked all the time. You know, it's probably what it's gonna be, so.
But would you view that as an option? to
Yeah,
the
I mean, it's
homeowner?
just like, it's just something to think about. Like, you don't wanna, if there's a door there and it's unlocked, you don't wanna have the circular, and then you're gonna lose space to sit in that room, you know? So it's, yeah, it's just something to think about when you know, draw how you want, how big your furniture is, and your couches, and chairs, and that sort of thing. You just wanna have as much access in that room as you can, but you don't wanna have, I don't know if you want it in a room that small, I don't know if you wanna have two openings, that's all.
On the other hand, I can imagine a wonderful summer evening
Yeah.
party that people are circulating.
Yeah,
Through
you
the
could.
living room and on the
You
porch.
could,
I
but-
wanna go.
Yeah, you could. The windows will all be open, and you'll have a nice, it'll be open to out there. But thank you for all the changes. It sounds like you like it, and,
Yeah.
you know,
Thank you for your comments.
great improvements, and, you know, sometimes it takes a few meetings to get there, and then at the end, the goal is to have something that everybody's, happy with.
Okay, probably what we should do is go over the worksheet, since this was a big enough project. And, you know, I'm looking for a way to make the worksheet less tedious. And I don't think I've found it yet, but let's just go through. And I see the worksheet as a way to kind of summarize and synthesize what we've had all discussions about in a way that enumerates things quite clearly, so that the first two criteria deal with new construction, so A and B, and it's, you know, is it site and scale, and the evaluative criteria in terms of setbacks, orientation, spacing. Have we achieved that goal to support appropriate site use and scale?
Yes.
And moving on, C to G, I think it's how does the application fit with the existing structure? And, you know, this concerns massing. Is the massing appropriate, the height, proportion, rhythm, design? I think we've chewed over that. And we've gone over the materials. We're satisfied with the materials, the windows, the doors. And
We spent
finally,
A lot of time on the roof has been looked at.
yeah. And then finally, is what's come out of this maintaining the character of the house? And I think indeed it is, so. Okay, so, we're ready for a motion?
I can do that.
Okay, Ben, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion for a certificate of appropriateness, 55 North Street. Plans, let's see, elevations on plan dated January 28th of 2020. Colors for the house, that wasn't discussed, to be submitted to Andrea at a later date?
Yeah.
Okay. Landscaping plan, we'll get that separate. Lighting, cut sheets to Andrea? Okay. It's gonna be wood trim, cedar siding, wood windows, true divided light. And then everything else is labeled on the plan. Am I missing anything?
I believe so.
So a landscape plan at a later date and cut sheets to Andrea on the lighting? And a color determined with Andrea's office at a later date? Okay.
Color will probably be white. I like the white.
As it is now. huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just before the second of the motion, we're,
I'm sorry, I had to add one more thing. The door, as Hans pointed out, on the front porch to the right is optional. That's a door or a window. That's for the applicant to make that determination. Okay, sorry.
okay, great.
I mean, I was just thinking about the 4th of July, the parade, and when they're entertaining, that just having a flow around that,
Yeah.
it may be the only day it gets used. It is also visually from the street. I think it's nice that there's a balance.
Yeah,
That was the
at your discretion.
theory, right?
Is there a second?
The voting members are,
For a second. To do the second.
oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that,
we-
you appointed Ben?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so it's, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
we did that, Adrienne.
Sorry. Just checking.
Hard to believe, I know, but we did.
Am I voting on this? You pointed, yeah, I didn't think so.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Good luck.
Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Roger, it looks great.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Testimonial about that process?
I think I've said it, it must be on, I've said it now several times, I think this is how it's supposed to work, and we're appreciative of your input.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
All right.
Take care.
All right, Roger.
Okay, so our last order of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting. People have a chance to read them. Any additions or corrections?
There was one. I think for 196 North Street, this is the second page, first page on the back.
Yeah.
Commissioner Burnham suggested consider removing the spire from the cupola. I believe that was Commissioner Burnham and Kindler. Thomas?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I suggested that.
All right.
Okay, anything else? Motion to accept the minutes as amended?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Well, thank you all.
Good job. Are we adjourned?
Are we adjourned?
Before our bedtime.
Doesn't work.
Oh, I just want to, one reminder, this Saturday is Lincoln Day, so if you, at 11 o'clock, you can be at Old Ship and listen to the Lincoln Day speeches and festivities. It's lovely.
Who's the speaker this year? I didn't.
I think, actually Paula Bagger is going to speak. She's the president of the society. And Rosie and Charlie Woodard, who are the owners, current owners of the Benjamin Lincoln House. Rosie's going to read something, and they're going to present the wreath at the monument. And, just to cheer everybody up, on the 8th of March, it is we're back to daylight savings.
That's
That is cheery.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did that come out of your Michigan calendar?
It came out, yes, my Shinola calendar.
Speaking of Lincoln, I came across one of my favorite Lincoln quotes today.
Which was?
He said, and I'm trying to remember where he said it, but if I was given 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend 4 hours sharpening my axe.
Oh.
Ah, interesting.
Isn't that a good one?
It is a good one.
Well, all right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.